Hey guys, thanks for listening to The Cynical Nerd. Please keep in mind that we do not avoid spoilers for any of our topics, whether they are current or past media. Listen at your own risk.
Let me tell you about. I didn't have this bit ready, I promise. It just popped into my head. Mostly because it just happened to me, like moments ago.
Oh, fresh off the block. Fresh off the press.
You ever, well, I don't know how you are, but I'm really anal about meat temperature when I cook it. I know, you're like, whoa, left field Chris, what's going on tonight? Samantha is like deathly afraid of like undercooking chicken. Okay. So... And because I had like a period where I was like, I'm going to get really good at cooking steaks. So I just bought like a nice meat thermometer. So it's just been a thing. I've just always had one around, and I use one for every time I cook meat so that it doesn't get overcooked or undercooked, yada, yada. You get the point. Well, tonight, I've officially started my normal guy diet, no longer keto.
Me too.
Did. Oh, hey, today?
Yeah.
Let's compare diets. For breakfast is 2 hard-boiled eggs and a thing of instant oatmeal, low sugar. And for lunch, it's whole wheat pita with hummus and a banana with peanut butter. So 2 dippies. Okay. I didn't really do that on purpose, but it just worked out that way. And then dinner was just chicken breast and broccoli, which is boring as shit. But
extremely good for you. Yeah,
exactly. So I grabbed the chicken and I grabbed my trusty meat thermometer. Me and him are best buddies. I call him Meat Thermy. And Thurman Merman. And I try to turn it on and it's dead. And I had a fucking panic attack. I was like, I'm gonna die from salmonella.
Yeah,
like,
this is it. This
is how I go.
You're taking them out with you.
And the very uninteresting ending of that story is that I cooked it, and it was fine, and I ate it, and it was delicious. And
yeah. I thought you were going to go somewhere a lot cooler with that. I got to be honest with you. I thought that you were going to maybe kill the dog, like try it on the dog and see how she reacted to it. But none of that. It all turned out fun.
Hooked it right in your thigh.
Yeah. You know, I actually have I have this weird, like with chicken, I've gotten food poisoning from undercooked chicken so many times.
Oh shit, you have.
That I will eviscerate chicken when I cook it.
Which makes it worse.
Which makes it so much worse. And every other meat known to mankind, I will eat, I'm not even going to say the number, very high under what is recommended. There's this complete disparity between like how hot chicken has to be for me to eat it and how undercooked I will eat literally any other meat on planet Earth.
Well, I think unless it's like chicken or pork are the only ones that like you undercook them and you're gonna probably have a really bad time, right? Like you can eat beef raw, can't you? Basically, like does that tartar?
Yeah, especially if you want to brag about it. So yeah, I barely cook my steak at all. It's still bleeding and mooing.
Yeah, it was mooing on the fucking heat. Anybody who does that, you're the worst person I've ever met. And that was a surprise for episode 100, so welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, we did it. We got here.
We made it.
Looks like we made it. Hello, friend. We're here, my baby. I don't know the words. That sounds like it, though.
That's probably it.
Episode 100, we had grandiose ideas for thinking of plans for doing something fun.
We were going to suck each other's dicks live on this one, but, canned it last minute.
I was actually thinking if there might be a way for us to do a live one. That was one of my ideas. And then I was like, it's so much coordination.
Yeah. And my life is fucking insane, right? I know yours is too. Like, it's just the worst time for me to ever be anywhere that isn't my house or work. School is daunting this time around. I got to tell you, that 2 weeks off that I had felt like 3 hours. And now literally as soon as we're done tonight, I'm going right back into intense homework and I'm freaking out about it. So
yeah,
it's going to be fun. Happy 100.
Happy 100. Thought we'd never get here. We're going to think of a fun episode title.
We are.
Eventually. I was really happy with the last one.
It was very good. Yeah, it was a good one. I will say this. I know that we have an email from Scott, And
Oh,
I
we have
say
another
that because I think he's sending us like a commemorative 100th episode email.
Okay.
And it would be fucked up if we didn't check the email for 3 months again, and then we were like way beyond.
Well, here's what happened. Here's what had happened. So because last week I forgot to check it, and then I did check it, and we had one. As soon as I talked about last week, I went, "Oh, right, I should go check it." So we do have one. It's not from Scooth. I don't see one from Scooth. It's from
I misunderstood.
It's from Christine.
Oh, Christine.
Or maybe Scooth just forgot, which is okay.
That's also okay. I forget many things all the time.
We're gonna dig right into it. Dig right into it? Weird.
Yeah, don't like
what
that.
What are we at? Doug Trio? Is Doug Duo one of the forms?
I think so. I think that's the first one.
We're a Doug
Diglett.
Duo. Oh, Diglett. Let me get them Diglets, girl. I always thought that was this funny joke. Remember, there was like a meme of it. We're so random today. There was a meme of the creepy Pokemon trainer. Do you remember that guy?
Oh, yeah. And he had like a
Ayo.
creepy mustache.
Yeah. Oh, if we can make a meme with that guy's face.
Yeah, that would be
That could be a
choice.
really good thumbnail option. Yeah. Anyway. Right, emails. But real quick.
RQ.
You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, at The Cynical Nerd. Am I updating all those all the time? Absolutely not. Our social media manager, Balmy, died.
He died.
I'm just kidding. He's totally alive. He's shouldn't
not.
say that.
He
It's
burned
not funny.
alive.
He burned alive?
It hurt the whole time he was
we
dying.
had to identify the body, and it was really rough on me personally.
Yeah, because you had to pull the teeth out of his mouth and show it to his mom. It was really fucked up.
If you could send all your thoughts, prayers, checks, and money orders to me instead of his family, that'd be ideal. I gotta get better at doing that. But anyway, there's where you can find us. You can email us at questions@thecynicalnerd.com. Listen, it doesn't have to be a question about one of the episodes, about one of the commisodes. It could be anything. It could be incoherent ramblings. I'll probably read it as long as it's not, racist, anti-Semitic, or something else fucking super terrible. But that being said, let's see what Christine said.
Christine, thanks for calling in. Thanks for coming on the show. You're live. Go ahead.
You're live. I have no idea what her voice sounds like, and I will not try. The email title is 100th episode baby, which I choose to read like this: 100th episode baby.
Yeah, perfect.
Hey guys, you better be reading this in time. We did.
Nailed it.
I can't believe this is the 100th episode. We can't either. You guys accompany me in the car or wherever where I need a distraction, and I'm always guaranteed to laugh. Thank you for introducing me to movies, TV shows, and games I didn't know about. And I love the tidbits of dad lives. Always entertaining. Keep at it. Love you guys. One of the only two people who write you, Christine.
We love you, Christine. Thank you.
I was gonna, when she said, thanks for introducing me to, I literally, I was like, oh no, am I about to get emotional over a silly email, a podcast that 3 people listen to? And then she brought me right back down to earth with, thanks for the
get
shot.
Back down here.
Yeah. Thanks for the dick punch. Appreciate it. No, very lovely email. Christine, thanks for listening. You've been around for a long, as Jar Jar Binks would say, it's a long go time. And I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me today.
And we so really appreciate it.
Boondegasser. And crashing the ball says, hey, Blaber, then vanished. Okay. Oh, Jesus. We got things to talk about.
Some stuff. So
you, Derek, as a person, as a man, as a fellow human on this planet who likes video games, the Vidya, which is VIDYA, may remember when Overwatch 2 was announced, there was talk of, first off, the internet collectively went, huh? Why? And Blizzard answered with, well, we're going to do a bunch of PvE focused stuff. You're going to have story missions, because what had happened with Overwatch 1 was everyone kind of fell in love with these different characters, and they were doing these cinematic backstories. And I guess Blizzard wanted to kind of take that and run with PvE, story-based, lore-based missions that would help to build out this world and kind of give this, a little bit more lore and interconnectedness, and flesh out some of these characters to make you like all of them, as opposed to the small handful that got their own, whatever backstories. And we're, I think the collective idea of the internet was, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see. And we did see, because they announced, first off, I'm sure you know, but for the kids out there, what had happened was, for the second time, they released Overwatch 2 unfinished. They said, hey, look, the PvE mission stuff, that's not going to be the hero missions. They're not going to be ready for launch. So we're just going to release the multiplayer, and you guys can have fun with that. And that's free to play. And the hero stuff, it'll come later. It'll come later. I haven't even touched Overwatch 2, not once, because it's Overwatch 1. It's just, it's multiplayer with some slightly different heroes, but it's Overwatch 1, which was fun for me for like 3 months of my life, and then I have never had the urge to go back. These hero story missions, they kept getting pushed, and they kept getting pushed, and they kept getting pushed, and then they were on an actual roadmap at one point, and then they weren't. And I mean, Jesus, you know where this is going. Like, they're just scrapped from the game. Like, they're not coming out. Blizzard has basically said, we can't make these the way that we think, up to like our standards. What the executive producer, Jared, can we all hate someone named Jared, please? What the executive producer said was, progress on the PvE experience hasn't made the progress that we would hope. That's a trigger for me. I hate when people use the same word twice in one sentence.
Just to be clear, that wasn't me saying the word twice. That was somebody else, and I was reading their words.
Yeah. Game director Aaron Keller says the decision came down to a difficult choice the team had to make: keep working on a PvE mode whose development had no end in sight, or scale down Overwatch 2's PvE focus. With everything we've learned about everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level you deserve, it's clear we can't deliver on the original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. And it's not like this has just been like talked about, rumored in the background, and never seen. They did like a dev vlog back in 2021 that showcased several hero missions in action, including new enemy types and areas on existing multiplayer maps. All this stuff is gone. So basically what this is coming down to, and I got to be honest with you, if this really is a case of Blizzard saying, this isn't up to our quality, and therefore we're just not doing it, I can kind of respect that in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I also can't, because like, obviously this came down to, they're probably just going, these aren't special, these aren't fun. They just feel like multiplayer with bots. Like, it's probably, if I had to take a wild guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, the entire thing makes me think, why does Overwatch 2 even exist?
Well, that's why I can't give them any credit for the decision, because it's like, that was your whole, when basically you said, well, Overwatch 2 is going to erase Overwatch 1. You can never play Overwatch 1 anymore. And it's going to be a new system and a new yada yada. And everybody's question was, well, then what's how do you justify making a whole new game? Well, because we have these story missions. Okay, that's still, people were uneasy about it, but you kind of warmed up to the idea over time. So your one sort of distinction, your one outlying factor that justifies it to be like a sequel, you just took out of it. So now it's just called Overwatch 1, I guess. And they replaced, everybody thought loot boxes were bad. Well, loot boxes were bad, but the system I have played Overwatch 2. I played it for maybe a week and then got bored of it. Overwatch 1 I did early on, before they just started to butcher the balancing of that game. I did have a good couple months, same as you, where I really loved it. Every now and then I would go back and play it, but it would just be like a 2-3 week thing, and then I'd stop. But I did play Overwatch 2 for about a week, and it just feels like it has all the same balancing issues. It's the same issue of everybody is either the sweatiest, most toxic, most unfun person to play with, or like a 4-year-old, and there's no in between. There's no people who just whose income doesn't depend on whether or not they beat the match. But I don't know. It's just anyway. So to have this thing looming in the back, but this thing is coming, these single player missions, these co-op missions, these wave defense things, whatever. There was going to be skill trees, which is kind of cool, ways you can alter your abilities to, function in PvE as a team. And now it's just all gone. And that's just, it makes the whole, you just never should have done this. And I just can't, I don't have it in me to believe, we're not talking about an indie studio. If it was something when you hear, we were just talking about it last week when Hollow Knight 2 gets delayed. It's like, okay, they don't have the resources other people have. Yeah, or delay it. Take your time. But this is like one of the biggest studios in the world. There's just no reason. Not that there's no reason you couldn't do it, but there's no reason you shouldn't have known that you wouldn't be able to at a minimum. Right. So no, fuck Blizzard. And I was so impressed with the Diablo 4 beta that I was like, I'm going to do the dirty slut thing and pre-order this. Oh. And just because of this, I'm not going to. I'm going to wait and see what the folks at home are saying.
What the folks at home are saying.
Because you never know how Blizzard's going to fuck everything up. Like, they're just over-promisers and under-deliverers. So
yeah. It's like me when it comes to sex.
Right. You say, I'm going to make you Kim. No, I'm going to make you Kim.
All I did was make you a baby or two.
I did all the Kimming.
All right, moving on. And I actually do want to, we're still kind of limiting ourselves to shorter episodes just because of, life. Mm-hmm. I wanted to say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You just start saying it, bro. It just rolls off the tongue. I get it now. America.
Let's get America, bro.
But yeah, I want to get I want to get through all of our stuff. So I'm gonna try and speed things up. I ramble too much. This is really quick though. We if you'll recall, if you've been listening long enough, Christine, looking at you. We've been watching. We watched all of Loki season 1, reviewed it on the pod. Loki season 2 now has a streaming start date. They announced streaming start dates for Loki and Echo, which is the spinoff series for the character that was introduced in the Hawkeye show. She's deaf, if I remember. And she has sort of a similar power, similar training to Daredevil. She doesn't really have the same power sets, though. Loki will start streaming October 6th, 2023. And Echo will drop November 29th, 2023. Now, the difference is Loki's going to, I think, do week to week like it did last time. And they announced that Echo is dropping all episodes at one time on November 29th. A lot of people were like, does this mean they're not confident in Echo? I don't think that's necessarily the case, although it could be.
Yeah.
Because we've heard that there were going to be cameos from I think Wilson Fisk, because he's very closely tied to the character of Echo, and maybe Daredevil, which would be sick. I think it could probably represent, and this is me being optimistic. Oh, hi Sadie. It could possibly represent them using a series they, let's admit, probably are not allotting as much of a budget for, to test the waters for the difference between week to week and dropping all episodes at once. It could be. Who knows? It could also just be that they think that they made a shit show.
Yeah, they're
like, wow, fuck, it's made now. What are we gonna? If that was the case, though, I honestly would expect them to drop it like as soon as it was ready, not November 29th.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are 2 dates. Can't wait for Loki season 2. Whenever you have a really good first season of something, I think there's no way that they can top this. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about Loki season 2.
Exactly how I feel about it. Yeah.
We'll see, I guess.
I wanted to be, remember, I was a huge Loki doubter, and then season 1 I really loved. So, we'll see. We shall.
We're going to get this fucking tea bag out of here. Hang on.
Ooh, this boy's bagging. He's bagging.
He's sagging. He's bagging.
Do you do that fancy thing where you wrap the tea bag around and then wring it out on the spoon?
No, that's way too.
Can't quite perfect that. I can't do it either. I don't have the deft fingies for it.
I don't even want the deft fingies.
Yeah. My fingies aren't dexterous enough.
I've infected your brain with words like fingies. Come on, them fings. Okay, moving on. This is a quick one. It's a cool little feature. Steam just Steam has notoriously had a kind of shit return policy. It's basically, and we've actually discussed this before, back when Scoot McNary himself was still on the podcast, because what happens with the current policy is that you have 2 hours from when you purchase it to return the game for a full refund. Full stop, no questions asked. They don't give a shit if the game has been completed or not. And that was a big thing because there's a ton of indie horror titles that are, maybe very small guided experiences. Maybe they take an hour and a half to complete. They're only $5, $10, $15, and there are plenty of people out there willing to pick them up. And there's also plenty of people out there willing to pick them up, beat them immediately, and then return the game for a full refund. So they're just getting it for free. And we had a whole conversation about that. I'm not going to tell you the episode title because I don't know it off the top of my head. You go back and start at episode 1, find it, And when you find it, you tell me, so that way I can
tag us on
catalog it.
Twitter.
Yeah, I'm basically asking you to be my intern. What they've done now is they've quietly implemented a new trial system, and it's like a timed free games trial. So the way that it works now, and it's going to be the first game to be using it will be this year's Dead Space remake. So if you were on the fence about getting it, although by all accounts it looked like it was very well reviewed, you can play for an hour and a half. The way it works is you pop over to the game store page, hit play now. It kicks off a download in your Steam client and lets you enjoy an hour and a half. This trial seems to run alongside Dead Space's current sale, suggesting it may only be available until March 29th. So I guess the difference here
Did you mean May 29th? Because we're beyond March 29th.
Oh, I did mean May 29th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, do you mean March 29th of 2024?
Yes, next year. But yeah, I mean, it looks like they're just making the windows shorter, but it may be accessible to more titles.
Yeah.
And it may also concur more often with sales and things like that. So they can turn it on for a sale of the Dead Space remake and say, hey, test it out, see if you like it. And then if you do, go ahead and pick it up. Sure. I'm all for that. It's not really a revolutionary change. It's not a fundamental difference in the way that game trials are done. But I do think that the system needs to be changed. So the fact that they're giving attention to it at all is good for me. Good job. Dude,
there's nothing that will bring, I think, integrity back into gaming, having just across the board demos for everything. I remember back in the day that was more of a thing. You would subscribe to whatever Game Informer and they would send you demos of the upcoming PlayStation games that were coming out. And now a game like Jedi Survivor, which now we both beat, if I could have gotten my hands on a demo of that game and seen how shitty it ran, oh my God, I would have waited. I beat that game out of spite because I spent, $50 on it or whatever. But I already had my whole spiel about how it's a perfect game hidden behind a fucking poorly optimized mess. But I mean, honestly, I think that's the way to keep, it gives you a taste, but you don't get to work the system. And it keeps developers, they have to kind of be honest with the releases, because then if you released a shitty game, I got to try it out and not pay for it without, of course, screwing you over and playing the entire thing. I got to get just a little nibble. So I love it. I hope it's not just a, select games or I don't know how you would make that legal. I don't know how you could tell every developer hey, everybody can try your game. That's our new rule. But Steam is kind of known for telling developers to go fuck themselves. So hopefully they'll do it here. I think it's an awesome idea.
I do too. Yeah. As opposed to the previous method where, if you really wanted to demo a game, you'd have to buy it with money and then play it and then return it before 2 hours. Or the other method, which is just that, you're at the developer's whim as to whether or not they release an actual demo download of the game on their Steam page. But a system-wide demo would be pretty awesome and would remind me of ye olden days. And that's it. Okay, this is a quick one. This is also Valve related, Valve adjacent, if you will. They're getting sued by a company called Immersion over the Steam Deck and the Index Rumble. Here's the thing. This article is not super interesting. Immersion seems to be a patent troll company who has sued just about every company that uses Rumble in their controllers, insofar as they even sued Nintendo. Although Nintendo doesn't use the tech, they developed their own Rumble Pack tech company, but they also licensed Immersion anyway, just to get them to go away. So it seems like the idea here is that these companies, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, they spend so much money in the development of these consoles and the production of these consoles that by the time a lawsuit like this is brought, it is so much easier and a no-brainer to just give this patent troll company money and tell them to go away than it is to fight them in court, potentially lose, because as much as a solid case as someone might have, you never know how the court's going to go. And then if they did, God forbid, you're talking about, imagine if the PlayStation 5 was sued over this and they lost and had to recall and remove the tech from all of those hardware, it would be insane. In fact, if I'm remembering a part of this article correctly, I believe the reason that the PlayStation 4 didn't have Rumble in it for the longest time was because of this company. I didn't know this was I didn't know this was a thing. I know what patent trolls are. I know they are, trolls and giant assholes. They do nothing but they sue over similar patents to try and get money out of people. They do nothing else. They don't make anything on their own. Yeah. They just hold these patents and they sue anyone who tries to use them. And that's their business model, which is garbage. You're literally a bottom feeder. But, the system allows for it, I guess, to some capacity. Sony and Microsoft have both licensed Immersion's patent portfolios. Apple, Google, Motorola, Fitbit all settled as well. Meta is currently in the middle of its own lawsuit filed a year ago. This is just crazy. I thought I had no idea this was a thing in the video game industry, and I just wanted to bring it up. I thought more people should know about it.
I fucking hate. I'm like a complete extremist when it comes to like copyright laws and even things like fair use. I think it's crazy that, like, to an extent, I think it's crazy that, like, if you come up with an idea and I can do it better or for cheaper or in a more profitable way. In my opinion, which means nothing, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to do it. And then if people still want yours for some reason, they still have the option to go to you. Now, I don't think it should be right that you should write a song called My Name's Chris Reed and I Have a Humongous Cock, and then I write the literal exact same song and then just hope people hear mine and think it's from me before. Like, I get that there has to be some kind of, but I think it should all be redone. I hate it. I think it's even things like, it's sort of tangentially related, but like fair use, like I said, it's crazy to me that you can like purchase a fucking song and it like you work for the money to buy the, you know what I mean? And then you still are restricted in when and where and how you can listen to it or where you can display it. It's like all that shit is like, I'm admittedly like a reactionary extremist to it. I think that this is bizarre that this is even, you can say oh, well, we make things that rumble too. So you owe us $10 million, whatever. It's just so absurd that courts can get tied up with this kind of shit when like actual things are happening that are actually hurting people in the world. It's fucking absurd. So fuck immersion. This is the only time in my life I think I've been on Nintendo's side of a legal dispute ever.
That's crazy.
This would be it. This would be a first. Yeah.
But, I mean, and this is, I mentioned this earlier, but this is how ludicrous it is and how they're taking advantage of the situation. This is directly from the article that The Verge wrote. While you might be tempted to point out that Valve's Steam Deck hardware uses a different form of rumble than the ones Sony and company got sued for, they're called linear resonant actuators, LRAs, rather than an eccentrically swinging weight on a shaft, which is what early rumble tech was. That didn't stop Nintendo from signing an agreement with Immersion anyway, which uses LRAs. Mm-hmm. So does Sony's DualSense for that matter. So honestly, I would be surprised if Valve doesn't settle, and that makes me really sad. Yeah. I really wish someone would fight them back on it. But again, like I said, money talks, and they dump all this money in these consoles, and they're not gonna chance it on messing up the revenue stream. Steam Deck topped Steam weekly top sellers by revenue the past week, and I don't think they've officially released sales numbers, but it's pretty safe to say they've sold over 1 million units.
Yeah,
they're looking at a successor. The Steam Deck is as far as Valve's sordid hardware history is concerned, been a runaway success for them so far. Yeah. So. It just makes me sad. I had no idea this went on, and I felt like more people should know. And now you do know if you're here. All 4 of you. You're welcome.
Which is including us, so really just 2 of you.
Yeah. It's crazy, though, that they're still top of the Steam seller list this far out. I mean,
I'm happy.
I'm
happy for Dems.
Yeah, I still use mine. I use it today.
I kind of mourn the fact that I didn't get one when I had the money.
I've been it's the perfect avenue to go visit games you like, but don't want to spend your hardcore gaming time playing.
Yeah.
Like I've reinstalled State of Decay on it because I always kind of liked that game. The base management, Survivor.
I remember liking that game too, but like that's a co-op game, right?
Yeah, it's co-op.
And I could never like get anyone to play it with me, and it just wasn't as fun alone, so I never really.
I've always played it alone. I've never played it multiplayer. I would love to try it. We should do it.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it. We need a new Cynical stream, baby.
Oh, we do. We got to go back to raiding druggy houses.
We do. Yeah. I uninstalled that because it's 100 gigabytes and we haven't played it in like 7 weeks.
Yeah.
But I could happily reinstall it.
Hey, remember last week when we were talking about the Hawken game coming back to life?
Yeah.
Apparently it sucks. Don't get it.
Yeah. So forget that. It looks dumb. It plays dumb. And dude, they showed in this article like a side by side of like the 2016 version and this version. No, it looks like, I don't know, Overwatch, Fortnite, Hawken.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. They showed there's some cutscenes. Well, sorry, hang on. cutscenes in the game that are essentially just comic panels. They're just drawings that have audio over them. It's disappointing. It sounds like they resurrected the shambling corpse of the original game to try and make some money off of it somehow. I'm not even sure what their monetary system is because it's free to download in early access. They're charging for microtransactions. That's how. So when Hawken came out, it was very visually impressive. It was very cool looking, very post-industrial, just it's that Star Wars grit to everything looked worn down and beat up. And it was very fun to play. And now it looks like it's been inspired by a free-to-play mobile shooter. And this article describes it perfectly. It says the jarring discrepancy, but the jarring discrepancy between what we remember and what's being offered continues through into the game itself. And it has the screenshots that you're talking about side by side. But yeah, holy shit. There's pictures of like, this is a small gripe, but there's issues where like characters in cut scenes that are just, still images with comic writing on them.
Yeah.
Are like holding iPads backwards to where they can't see the screen. And then there's a side by side of the same character, quote unquote, standing side by side, and they look different to the point where, in this article points out that it looks like it's AI generated. And I got to say, I think it is.
It really does look like it.
Really,
at a minimum, it was a prompt that was then like, you know what I mean? Like traced or whatever, like, or done up in some way. I agree. It has that sort of AI-ish, indistinguishable, or rather distinguishable AI look to it. I hate the era of games journalism that we're in, where like the titles always act like they're like your friend from college or something. They're always like, "Yikes, gang! This bonkers new Zelda game's a little problematic." But this title of this article is really good. It just that new Hawken game sucks.
Kudos
so
to the
fucking bold. Yeah, I love that one. Holy shit.
Again, I'll shout out to the vendors for pulling articles from to talk about. This is Kotaku. This is Luke Plunkett was the guy who wrote. I've seen his name on tons of stuff in the past, but the byline for that is Hawken Reborn's early access launch is a hollow shell of the original. And that's where we'll leave it because it's very sad. Super quick news. Deadpool 3 is happening. Logan's coming back. We know about that. They're also bringing back Brianna Hildebrand, who was the Negasonic teenage warhead in Deadpool 2. And she was very cool. I liked her character. She was fun. She was a fun X-Men.
She was a good X-Men. One of the good X-Men.
A fun X-Men.
Not a
That's all I got. That's all I got.
X-Men. Yeah.
Fun X-Men.
Yeah, news. It's out there. Now you know it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go any further. There's another one that's coming back too, right?
Yeah, the other one.
They didn't mention the other one. Yeah. The guy who played the taxi driver is coming back, Karen Sani. His name was Dopinder. Marina Bakarin, who's Vanessa, she's coming back. Blind Al, Leslie Uggams is coming back. I forgot about Blind Al. Yeah, cool. Well, it looks like a good time. Should be fun. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows how it's going to be? All right, that's it. That's all the week in review. We got to talk about trailers. We got 5 trailers to go through, and then we're going to talk about the movie we watched for this week. Just one. It was Air with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. God, it's so hard not to say it like Team America whenever I say Matt Damon. Just in your head, I want you all to hear me saying it. Look, I'll even mouth it. And you'll hear it in your head.
I did. I heard it in your voice.
That's good. And then did we give proper thoughts about Survivor? Because I'd like to now that I've finished it, like storyline stuff.
No, we did not. We have not.
Okay,
We haven't.
I'd like to if we have time. So let's rush through these. So first off, I very much recall making fun of the title of this movie, and it's still absolutely ridiculous. And that movie title is Mission: Impossible dash Dead Reckoning: Part 1. So I guess this is I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the final Impossible movie that he's going to do, and because of that, of course, they had to break it into 2 films. So Dead Reckoning Part 1, this trailer came out. I gotta tell you, the latest Tom Cruise running TM movie, it looks fun.
It looks really good, dude. We watched Rogue War, which is like, I don't know, the 4th or 5th one. A couple months ago. It was fucking awesome.
Rogue Nation.
Or, what did I say? Rogue One or Rogue War or something? Yeah, Rogue Nation.
I mean, I got what you were saying.
Yeah, incredible. Dude, I have a problem. The older I get, the more I respect Tom Cruise. I know he's crazy, but like, he knows he's crazy, and there's just something I can appreciate about that. I don't know. I'm not saying he's a good guy, but
what makes it worse? By all accounts, I've always heard that he's a nice guy. Like, he's just a nice guy to other actors and like people around. It would be so much easier to just dismiss him if he was just a cunt, like an asshole.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, he seems like a genuinely, like, a guy who just loves acting.
Yeah.
And like, all the years of being like the movie star TM have not blown his brain up to insane proportions. I gotta tell you, I think Scientology is really good for him.
Yeah, it's the only one that ever worked. The only person it ever worked for. But dude, there's something crazy about the fact that there's like, when you're a movie star, I know we're trying to rush through these, so I'll make this quick. When you're a movie star, there's sort of like an act that you have to do. You have to like go on Jimmy Kimmel and like say the joke about your daughter. Oh, she's getting a little older. And like, there's this whole way to compose yourself and don't say this, talk about these light things, don't do that. And like, Tom Cruise pioneered that, right? Like, he was the actor that like lived the actor life, that everybody follows that mold. Yeah. And even though he created that shit, he doesn't follow it at all. Like, when he doesn't feel like doing it, when he wants to just become unhinged and crazy and uncomfortable in an interview, he just does it. And the fact that he like created these guidelines and he's like, fuck you. Like, dude, that's one time the dude had the microphone with the water gun in it, and he was like, Mr. Cruz, and he went like that, and it shot water in his face. And he grabbed this dude by the wrist and didn't let go for like 3.5 minutes. Oh my God, dude, he's insane. I love him. I love him. I love you, Tom. If you're listening, I love you. And the trailer looked very fun, very exciting. That's all these movies are. They're not smart. They're just exciting. And this trailer nails that. They all have, of the ones that I've seen anyway. So I expect this one will as well.
It looks fun. It will be in theaters, July 12th. And then part 2, who knows when, but this, who cares? We're not talking about part 2 right now.
Yeah, fuck part 2,
You'll be all right. All right, moving right along. I don't want to do that. I've tried my best to stop going. I don't have a lot to say about this. Or at least minimize, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say, here's what we're talking about, and also, I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's. They're making a horror movie based off of that. And I never got into the game. I know it was kind of a Twitch sensation for a bit there, and it has all the like animatronic creatures and stuffed animals have a very specific look to them that's admittedly very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But we just kind of like, remember that Nick Cage movie where he's fighting all the animatronic? It was basically an unofficial Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Like, they all looked just like, so I feel like I've seen this movie already.
Yeah.
Like, when you watch the trailer, I'm like, well, that's not Nick Cage, but I've seen everything else. This is from Blumhouse. Comes out October 27th. I don't have a lot to say about it. I don't know if this is a big old wait and see for me. I'll wait and see how it's received when it comes out. Maybe I'll watch it.
Well, the fact that it's Blumhouse or Blumhouse, however, I don't give a shit. Don't correct me, listeners. There's going to at least be like a gore factor that's like you can appreciate about it. Like, it's probably going to be gross and yucky, and
fair.
They're very good at that. I will say, though, I didn't know that my whole life, I thought that Five Nights at Freddy's was like a meme game. Like, nobody actually had any respect for it. It's just something people made fun of. And it turns out I was like, not from this trailer, I found this out, like 6 months ago. People actually really like those games. I was like, maybe I missed something there. I did play one like on my phone for like 5 minutes, like, I don't know, years ago. I was like, this isn't for me, and turned it off. But apparently they're pretty spoopy. People like them. So
Pretty spoopy.
Spoopy.
October 27th, if you want to watch it. We'll see.
Don't you hate when it's October and people call it Spooky Month?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I hate...
Happy Spooktober. You're 35. Just stop.
I hate that you said 36 now. I hate that you said that to me. Ugh, spoopy. I don't like that word. Okay, moving on. Here is the advent of the AI movie. Art always imitates life, and inevitably, and for some reason, they come in fucking twos. Remember when Armageddon came out and then Deep Impact came out like the week after? And you're like, okay, there's no way that two separate studios greenlit two end-of-the-world films at the same time, and the other one didn't know that the other one was doing it, right? It's bullshit. Anyway, moving on. This movie's called The Creator. It's from 20th Century Fox. Comes out September 29th. And this is a story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. And while she looks so sad in photographs, I absolutely love her when she smiles.
That was really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This is The Creator. This movie is based in a future dystopia where AI has run rampant, very Skynet adjacent. It has taken over everything on Earth, all the things that it can take over, and has started to make robots to fight us. And it looks like cyborgs, human hybrids, or I don't know if they're just synthetic completely and they, make their own skin or something. It sounds gross to say out loud, but it's possible. You could grow in a petri dish. Fuck you. Look it up if you want to. But yeah, this looks like they give away so much of the story in this trailer.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be like the trailer was just going to be humans fight AI to survive. And then the thing that they show you in the trailer would be like the big reveal. Maybe there's more than that. Who knows? But anyway, what I'm talking about is this movie stars John David Washington, who was in Tenet. I like him a lot. Yeah, he was a good actor.
He is very good.
He's Joshua. Ken Watanabe is in this, who I love very dearly. Also. Gemma Chan, Benedict Wong. It's got a good cast list. Danny McBride. It's directed by Gareth Edwards, who did Rogue One. Whoop, whoop. He does. That sounds like a droid from Rogue One. He does. He's a good sci-fi director. So I'm like more apt to be optimistic about this. And the twist in the middle of this movie, in this trailer, is that he goes to I guess kill what they think is the source of the AI. It turns out to be like a young girl mixed with
a robot,
with a robot. And then I think it looks like he's going to end up spending some of the time protecting her, and hopefully, I would imagine, trying to show her why humanity deserves to be around, and then everything will be okay. But I feel like I know the whole movie now.
Yeah.
So I'm weirded out by this.
I feel like
trailer.
they had to, because if it was just like the AI is going to kill us, it's like, this old fucking story again.
Yeah.
Like, we've been doing this since Space Odyssey. Can we do something else? So I can see why this old chestnut cracking it open on the hearth. I can see why they'd want to go like, okay, hey, there's a little something more to this.
Yeah.
But I agree, it is a little weird how much of the hand they played. The moment that I saw it was from the fella whose name I already forget, who wrote Rogue One. I have to admit, my interest kind of multiplied a bit. It's, I know now that I'm going to cry during this movie, for one. He knows how to make me cry. He just brings out the tears. And it's stylized very well, I have to say. Like, the robots look very cool. They're not your standard robots. They've got a cool look to them. I don't know. It just, I'm into it. My change in opinion of it from the beginning of the trailer to the end was pretty significant. Like, in the beginning, I'm like, oh god, another one of these, and by the end, I was kind of interested in it. So, we'll see.
How'd you like a classic rock song is slowed down?
Oh my god, always. That's what I'm saying. As soon as I heard it, I don't even remember what it is at this point. Yeah, It's like, here we go. This is the new trend.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be cool. It could be very cool. Could be very bad. We don't know. We'll see. Again, I love Ken Watanabe, so I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. Quick announcement. Mortal Kombat is rebooting. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. They released an announcement trailer for Mortal Kombat 1. That's not going to be confusing.
Yeah.
This game
couldn't possibly be the first one, right? I might be mistaken here, but I don't think this is the first one.
It's not the first, and Pre-orders go live. Were live May 19th. You can go pre-order now. Pre-orders receive Shang Tsung as a playable character. There's going to be beta access available in August. I'm guessing that means the final game is going to come out sometime towards the holidays this year. So just off the bat, this is not wiping away or rebooting the lore. This is continuing where the lore in the last game left off. I know that not because I played the last game, but because I have this weird thing where even though Mortal Kombat lore is silly pants McGee, I like to keep up on it. So like I watched the story basically movie for the last game, and spoilers, at the end of the last game, Liu Kang basically gets god powers and becomes like fire god Liu Kang, and he reboots reality, which is where this trailer starts. So we're getting like alternate reality, potentially versions of some of these characters where he's saying like we reborn to a new reality, but you know, old rivalries, you can choose to live in peace or you can choose to fight, and a lot of these people, it's in their blood, they just have to fight. So fuck it, let them fight, which is such a silly premise, but like, who cares? It's a video game about beating people up.
Yeah.
It's very gory.
Extremely gory. Holy shit.
Very cool. Very cool because of that. And I hope they keep that in the game. And it looks fun. Cool. Fuck it. I'm probably not going to buy it. I'm not a big fighting game fan, but it looks really cool. And if you love Mortal Kombat, then I love this for you.
I'm not a fighting game fan either, but like every 5 or 6 years, I just fucking pour like months into one.
You're like, I want this one.
I kind of want it, right? There's no gameplay in the trailer, but it was, you know, Mortal Kombat I mean, I think there was some like Nintendo 64 ones that sucked ass, but other than that, they're usually decent at the, you know, at the most, but
yeah.
Or at the least, whatever. No, I'm hyped on it. I'm getting all making me feel like it's the 90s again. It was a good trailer. And I usually hate cinematic trailers, but there's so much blood and intestines everywhere that it was just
intestines. I remember playing Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, but I didn't really get into Mortal Kombat until 3. I remember MK3. There was like the Ultimate Edition or some shit like that. And I remember just loving it and learning all the fatalities and like, but I never ever came close to being invested in a fighting game like I was then. I think that was when I realized that it wasn't really what I love to do the most.
Yeah.
And it was mostly because of multiplayer.
Yeah.
I'd beat the shit out of the CGI guys and feel great about myself. And then I went over to my neighbor's house who demolished me in Mortal Kombat 3. And I was like, this game sucks.
Yeah. That's how it was with Dragon Ball FighterZ. I was like, I'm a fucking amazing at this game. And then I started playing against people online, and that lasted like 3 or 4 days. And I have not played that game since. It was like, I'm the worst. I don't even deserve to live with how bad I am at this game.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe we should just play the story mode as the moral of the story.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to skip the last trailer for one reason and one reason only. I forgot to watch it.
Oh shit. Damn. I wanted to talk about the one.
Oh,
that's okay. That's
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Isn't it Scorsese?
Okay. It is Scorsese.
I put it in there for you too, because I knew you're
well, that's okay. We'll do it next week. That's all right.
We'll leave it for next week. All right. So we have Air to talk about as our main topic. And I want to talk a little bit about Survivor's story mostly, because we've talked about performance issues and stuff like that already.
Sorry, I just hit my mic hard. I know you hate when I do that. When you're mixing this later,
I don't think I heard it.
Oh,
I'm probably curse at you.
I fucking whammed it accidentally. So
wham.
Yeah.
Wham. Okay. I just realized the thumbnail, if it's going to be the creepy Pokemon guy, it has to be something with like D's nuts. So like think of a Pokemon adjacent D's nuts joke.
Okay.
I'm just putting thoughts in the air. Okay. Anyway, Air, starring Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. I did it. I messed it up the first time. How do you mess up? Look, I watched this a week ago, so it's not as fresh in my head as it is for you.
I watched it a day ago.
And mostly just because I was like, oh, I have some time before bed. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to watch that. Let's do the thing. I really like this movie. It's another one of it's in no way, shape, or form similar to even really the structure of the racing movie with Matt Damon and Christian Bale we talked about, but it gives me some of the same sense of enjoyment when I watch it. Like it's I don't know what it is. I feel like I could watch Matt Damon and almost any like semi-historically accurate story that's mildly inspiring.
Yeah.
Just tell me the story. Like it's like a dramatic reenactment of something that happened in real life, and I would love it. The story I thought was interesting. Like I don't know, it was fun for me. You say something like, you know, shoe companies vying for Michael Jordan to back them is on paper not the most interesting story to tell, and I just liked it. I didn't know this because I was too young to have any insight into that kind of. I've never been a shoe guy, so I didn't know the industry. I had no idea that Nike. To me, Nike's just always been this top dominating shoe force. So I had no idea that at this point in time they were looked at like a joke in the basketball industry. Yeah. They were like a running shoe. And stuff like that. They were not considered a tennis shoe. They were not considered a basketball shoe. And I learned so many like little FFs in this film, like little fun facts about stuff. For example, and then I'll let you talk about it. I had no idea that when they were designing the Air Jordan, they were like, oh well, the NBA needs you to have this much white in the shoe. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, what's the fine? He's like $5,000 a game. He's like, we'll just pay it. And they did. They paid the fines for Michael Jackson for a number of years until the rules were changed. Jordan, damn it. I was doing so different good earlier. Yeah. Earlier I said Jordan. I was like, right, I said the right one. And then I did it again and I went, okay, right, I said the right one. I knew I was going to slip up once. I had no idea they paid that fine for Jordan for years.
Yeah.
I think to the point where the NBA got pissed off at them. They're like, well, there's no point in having the rule if you're just going to ignore it and pay the money. Like, and I think they changed the rules. But cool story. I liked Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mother. She's always just a fucking force of a woman. She's awesome. I like his father because his dad was like kind of like just I'm along for the ride. She's in charge. I like.
He was known in life to be like just a like impossibly infinitely sweet human being.
And he really came off that way.
Movie, he really was. Yeah. Like every scene he was in, he was just kind of smiling, like, "Well, I'm just happy to be here."
Yeah. Like he's the internet's dad now.
Do you know how he died?
No.
Car robbery. Like there was people on their way to rob a bank, and he was in a nice car that his son bought for him, and so they just shot him and killed him.
His Uncle Ben.
Yeah, he got Uncle Ben. It's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So you were in such a good mood before I gave you that. Sorry, that's not a fun fact. That's a sad fact.
That. Yeah, it's an SF.
Yeah, you were doing FFs. I was doing SFs.
How'd you feel about this movie, though?
I liked it a lot. I think it's funny. When I was younger, my mom would always say, like, whenever a new movie would come out, like, who's in it? And I'd always think, like, who gives a shit who's in it? Just go see, like, what's the movie about is always the question I would ask. And now as I get older, I understand that more and more, where, like, the premise of the movie matters a lot of the time still, but it doesn't have to if you get the right people in the movie. And I think that's the case. Like you said, it's like, even though they did it in a good way on paper, oh, this is the story about how Michael Jordan got signed to do Air Jordans. Who gives a shit? But then you throw Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who watching them work together is always so great because they've been working together since they were kids.
Yeah.
And you can tell they just love to, fucking bounce off of each other. I'm blanking on his name. Michael Bateman? No, what's his? Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Patrick Bateman was from American Psycho. Jason Bateman was like, he was great in this movie. He was hilarious. And he had this really intense, serious moment about how he only gets to see his daughter on Sundays that really like wrenched my heart out. He sold that scene really well. Seeing them all bounce off each other. Chris Tucker, incredible.
What a surprise too. Like, hey, you're alive.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just like seeing all these great actors, these like mammoths in the industry just kind of bounce off of each other. And nobody really steals the show. Nobody's really like, using anyone else as a stepping stone. They're all just kind of meshed together in all these scenes, just really putting out fucking incredible acting. It was a really inspiring movie. I was really moved by the part towards the end where when Matt Damon is kind of doing his final sell to Jordan, and he says like, you're going to go through some shit basically. And then you get these actual footage of like the things that happened. Michael Jordan's dad dying, him leaving the NBA and playing baseball, and all these like horrible things, these scandals that he went through. And just like, it's interesting because I remember being a kid and that shit happening. My dad was like a huge basketball fan, huge Jordan fan. And so like, I never watched it, but I remember it happening and him like filling me in. Like I didn't really give a shit because I was like 7 years old, but like, I don't know, just being on sort of this end of it and watching it in this way, like, as the preceptor to it was, I don't know, that was just a really emotional scene. I thought it was really well done. No, it built me up. It made me feel good. I always like a period piece. Did I say that right? Yeah, period piece. And even though this is only like 30 years ago, Still technically qualifies as a period piece.
It does.
Had a great soundtrack, although it was a little relentless with the soundtrack. Like it was like every minute there was like 3 songs from the 80s, and at some point it was like, we get it. It takes place in 84. You don't have to put a song from the 80s every time you switch to a new scene. But no, it was great. Had a great sense of itself. And I didn't know that Michael Jordan was the first NBA athlete to basically demand that he gets a cut of the sales of his shoe product, and that's now the norm. That Matt Damon's character, whose real life name I now totally forget, is the one who pushed for that in the industry. So that's, I don't know, informational and enjoyable, and it really had a good sense of humor about it too.
And I think I had talked about this before. I did. Well, this is when we talked about the movie being announced, that they gave him conditionals in his first season that were like, you have to be like Rookie of the Year or win so many games or score so many points, and he crushed all of them, obviously, because he's a legend in the industry. But you know, it's easy to just say like, you know, well, of course they could see his talent back then, but that's not always the case. I mean, they look at hundreds of college kids a year, so to see someone who really can look at him and say, this kid's gonna be great. And be right about it. It was like satisfying, even though I had less than 0 to do with any of it. And really, anyway, all right, let's. We're just about at the end. I'm probably give it another 5-6 minutes, but I finally finished Jedi Survivor. I think I finished like 60 hours because I did as much as I possibly could before I got tired of doing stuff. And by that I mean I think I 100%ed every planet except for Kobo, which was at like 93%. I mean explored, though. I don't mean like I got every single pickup on every single planet. I got a good chunk of them. I would say over 80%. Anyway, finished the game the other night, 2 nights ago, I think. And, you know, we've talked about performance issues aside, they released another patch or 2, I think, since you beat the game. And, you know, the performance issues are more or less non-existent, at least for me, by the end of it. But then again, I didn't really have a lot to begin with. But, you know, you had said, like, I think if this didn't run the way it did, it would have been like a 10 out of 10, like perfect Star Wars game for me. And that's 100% true. Like the story is really great. There was some, it's so funny because,
you know, I know Scoot has a Scoot. If you're listening, stuff, turn it off now. I know you haven't played yet. Yeah. Don't listen. Don't listen. You can stop right now. We're done in a couple minutes anyway. Love you. Bye. The story, you know, in the trailers, they show you this High Republic Jedi, and he seems like he's going to be, you know, the big bad TM, and he is for like the first half of the game, and then he's dead, and you're like, well, what's going to happen now? And then just a series of ridiculously awesome set pieces and base visits and visuals culminate in you facing off against Bode, who betrays you. And I gotta say, you talked about the internet spoiling the Vader scene for you, and the internet not only spoiled the Vader scene for me, it spoiled that Bode was going to betray you. Oh,
and
damn,
and I was bummed. And here's I want to ask. So because I knew it was going to happen, I was watching for foreshadowing that it was going to happen, and I saw nothing until I think like right before it happened. It seemed like something was bothering him, but even then, it wasn't like some like ominous, like him doing something he wasn't supposed to off to the side. He just looked like he was troubled about something. And I was curious, if you didn't know that it was coming, did you think it was, did you see it coming, or was it a surprise?
Completely surprised. In fact, initially I thought it was a cheap move, and then I came to like it. Like I came to like that was sort of his arc, but it was so out of left field for me that I went like, you know, like, oh, they're just doing guess what happens next type thing. But then I feel like afterwards, his reasoning for doing so made me go like, all right, that is kind of a cool little arc for him.
And that's I think that's what makes it, is that not only do they do that, but they, you know, I'm sure at some point in the writer's room, they're like, well, we can't just have him betray him and then he fights Cal and that's the end of the game. They wanted to flesh it out, and they did in a great way. We actually get to meet his daughter. We get in these tense situations, you know, where I love how they have Cal flirting with the dark side, because it's something they didn't really do in the first one. And the fact that they changed like your special to this like dark side rage. And, you know, you're basically ripping through this Imperial base that you should not be at, because it's not safe for you to be there.
Yeah.
You're ripping through this Imperial base to get to him, and then you find his living quarters, and it's just his little girl there. and you see Cal's altruistic, compassionate, empathetic side shine through again. And you're like, well, what's going to happen when Bode walks in the door?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is great dialogue. They have a great exchange back and forth. I sent to you that Cal's like, you're a monster, Bode. And he's like, no, I'm a father. And it got me because like you said, I was like, Jesus, like, would I have done the same thing if I was in his shoes?
I 100% would have. That's the thing. Like, anytime, I'm not trying to sound like an Edgemeister or something, but whenever it's like, we were watching the show Sweet Tooth, and the dude who has to like turn the kids into jelly to save his wife or whatever, like, to me, it's like, not even as a man, but just as a family member, as like a part of this family, that this is my first duty is to them, period. Like, and I still love other people, very, very much so, but like, to Veronica and Odin, they are my, and they'll do the same for me, right? So like, when it comes down to it, I wouldn't be happy with myself. I wouldn't sleep, die with a clear conscience, but would I do the shit that he did to make sure that his daughter survived? Without question. Like, I mean, that's the whole, not to sound corny, but it's right in the title, Jedi Survivor. That's how he survived. That's how Cal got through in his way. Well, this is how Bode got through it. So I actually ended up really liking that arc.
Yeah. I
really liked, too, that, like you said, Cal kind of has a little bit of a dark side thing happening with him. And even in the end, dude, Bode's gun malfunctions. He's basically unarmed. And Cal kills him. Like, he goes, I'm putting you down, essentially. Like, which was still not the most Jedi thing in the world, right? I mean, like, I get it. You got to put a threat down. But it's like, again, it's about surviving, not to keep hinging on that's the title of the game, but like I feel like Bode kind of influenced him to make that, where he's like, well you're just going to keep coming after me, so I'm going to put you down.
He did it with Dagon too. I was surprised when he killed Dagon the way he did, because I wouldn't say they actively avoid it, but they're definitely reluctant killers. Jedi historically don't want to take life if they don't have to, and I feel like for Dagon it wasn't even a question. Cal was just like, this guy's got to go, and so he's moited. He got moited.
Can I tell you my favorite part of the game story-wise? I'm not going to rag on how bad. I already did it. It's so bad, and you shouldn't. It's like you have to judge them separately, because the state the game is released in is so terrible. It's so inexcusable. But like, I'm just going to focus on the story and what was good about it. But my favorite part of the game was the Seer versus Vader fight. Was like,
oh god,
so fucking good. And like the fact that Vader walks away, and normally he's got some one-liner, but she kind of almost got him. And so he just sort of like slumps away, and like without a word, he's just like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I just thought that was so cool that he doesn't do this final word. Like, sometimes he says corny lines. It's part of his character. Nothing.
It wasn't just because he was on fire that he was sweating underneath of that outfit. I'm sorry.
But then when you're going through I forget what it's called already, the cloud to get to, I forget the place that's hidden. Tanalorr, thank you. And he has his hand on the hyperspeed thing, and he just sort of closes his eyes, and then you hear Seer's voice say "now" right before I thought that like just gave me goosebumps. Even talking about it's giving me goosebumps. Yeah. And the fact that her last two words were just the names of her two apprentices really ripped my fucking heart out.
Yeah. Yeah, it got me. And also, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
At some point, somewhere along the line, said something to Cal. I know I'm butchering the story, but it got me emotionally that someone was like, "Oh, Jared Tapal trains you well," and I think he said something in return like, he's not the only master I've had," or like, and I was like, "Oh, he's here." Anyway, that's it. What were you gonna say?
Oh, shit.
Anyway, it was tight.
Yeah, no. There's something about the combat that even with the first one, I feel like it remains in the second one. Even let's just pretend it was released as intended. There's just something not quite there. The balance of like, think of a game like Sekiro, and there's just this real like, as long as you do everything right that it's supposed to happen, you know what I mean? Like there's this bounce, this fluidity to it. And there's still sometimes when you're facing up against multiple people, just these annoying little, like you block and then you have sort of a reset animation and you get hit by 3 guys 6 times in a row and you can't, like, that kind of shit is so aggravating because when the game's sold on like the fluidity of combat, which 90% of the time works, those just stick out a lot more. It's like, oh my God, I'm getting like fucking stun locked in a way that's like not clearly not intended. It's just some fault in like the enemy AI or something like that. But my assumption with the story though, I think is you were obviously still a Padawan. You get knighted in the first one. You're sort of a knight in this one. I'm imagining that you're going to now be a master to Bode's daughter in the third. So I think they're doing like a Padawan.
That would be cool.
Master. That would be very cool. Yeah.
I very much like how it ended. The game, and I know this is like such an overdone Star Wars trope, but this is very much the Empire Strikes Back of this game series, as long as they make a third one. A lot of people died in this one, and rightly so. I mean, they're operating out in the open for the most part, as far as the Empire is concerned. Like, the Empire knows they're doing shit all over the place. In a time when it was very difficult for Jedi to operate this way. So, of course, of course, the base is going to get destroyed. Of course, like, that kind of stuff is not going to be able to be sustained. But when you're playing the game, you don't want it to happen. And, so when you lose Seer, and you lose, you have to kill Bode and, stuff like that because he betrayed you. I was really hoping there was going to be a redemption for Bode at the end because I liked his character. I thought he was, obviously, because they were building to this betrayal, he was so well fleshed out. We knew so much about him. He seemed like a real bro. He was for a while. The whole, the whole like ISB internally strafing with the Inquisitors was a cool like side plot for the Empire. And where this game leaves us with Kata as like another member, and when she gets older, will she hold resentment towards Cal? Who knows? Probably, right? Because it'll be narratively interesting. Cal getting his D wet with Marin. What's up? Go ahead, boy.
You get it?
I like where we're left, and I would be excited for a third one. And I hope, all that to say is not to gloss over the fact that it had a shit launch and they need to get their stuff together for a third one. But ultimately, I love the universe they've built. I hope Cal at some point gets to make a live action debut, even if it's just a cameo, just to see him. And love it. Can't wait.
What was your favorite boss fight in the game?
Ooh.
Just curious.
I really liked the Dag and Gara fights only because they were just straight duels. And some of them were quite challenging, especially the second time you meet him. I think I was like, oh, okay, that's a step up in difficulty. Ravis was fun, but Ravis was the first time I had to kick the difficulty down. First time I had the Ravis boss fight was when I beat my head against the wall, attempt after attempt after attempt. I don't know what it was about him. But I was like, all right, I'm not doing this because at that point was like 30 hours in. And I was like, it's time to. But that's all.
I really like the Ravis one as well. My favorite was probably Seer versus Vader, but all the Dagon, I forget his last name.
That feels like a cameo fight. I wasn't counting that, but yeah, of course, that fight was dope.
Yeah. The Bode fight was more frustrating than anything to me. It was just like, I don't know, like the story wise, it was very good, but the mechanical fight was just, I don't know, just found super frustrating. But
the mechanical fight.
But anyway, yes, you're right. We're running late. So reel us out or whatever. Walk us out of here. Close the door.
Walk the plank. Where can everybody find you at?
Just Twitch, Dr. Gloom MD, DRG, LOO, MMD. I'm back in school. It's a nightmare. I have to do schoolwork as soon as we're done here. So where can they find you?
Just Twitter, because I'm not streaming right now. But I could be. I should be. Someone pointed out that I should do Tears of the Kingdom. I might. We'll see. I don't want Nintendo chasing after me. Crispy Mana, CRISPYMANA. Come ask us questions, offer comments, do what you do, blue what you blue, screw what you screw. That was a ludicrous reference. Okay, it's going to be the end of the episode, number 100.
100.
A little backpack for ourselves.
Yeah, go us.
And go us. We're cool today. And with that, I bid you adieu.
Adieu.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Shit. Very good.
I did a dab too. Yeah.
I might leave that in just to embarrass you.